Warning, this video contains spoilers from patch 3.4.
Hi.
All that for a drop of blood.
Now, a lot of people may have joked about that part in that way, but I think everyone can agree that 3.4 story is quite a depressing one.
It's not that long.
The time it took me to read this patch's Trailblaze quest was around 5 hours and 18 minutes. What I was limited to was waiting for each dialogue to end before proceeding to the next dialogue. And my voice settings are set to Japanese because naturally. Now, let's do a recap.
What happened here?
Considering on from Cell's point of view, since the last patch, she was escorted by the guards to escape Amphorius. They met up with Danhang, and the Flame River was surprisingly immobilized. After that, they all encountered Skrulum, who was the one that stopped the Flame River, and he explained about the actual situation to the Trailblazers. Stella had to stay behind at Skrulum's request in order to prevent the emergence of the new Lord Ravager. We then switch over to March 7th's perspective. Finally, she got some screen time. Not too bad, Hoyo, you were only 5 patches late. She soon experienced some kind of schizo moment, with whispers from the Garden of Remembrance luring her to enter Amphorius, and met Cyrene afterwards, who was real at least, and she warned her against it. March 7 still went ahead despite Cyrene's caution due to friendship bonds.
Friendship means little when it's convenient.
Back to Cell's POV, you returned to Finon to initiate Aeronova, but Lygus dragged you to yap about lore stuff, and proceeded to show you the truth behind Amphorius. Wait a minute. What the fuck?
One day, after dinner, we and my younger sister and I lounging about strength.
This was through Finon's life journey, starting from his childhood involving Cyrene to him proving his way to the other Crisis heirs, especially My Day here, who's being like a tsundere.
It's not like I want your compliments or anything, idiot!
Stella learned that the Flame Chase journey had been repeated again and again to a total of 33,550,335 times from Finon's memories and Lygus' monologuing. At the final memory, the Flame River appears, yeets Lygus' head off, and we fight him. After beating his ass, we got introduced to another set of memories involving Finon and Cyrene just before initiating the Aeronova, where Lygus yet again, but too much this time, revealing that this whole fiasco is a simulation experiment for the sake of embracing the Black Tide and destruction. All these yapping made Cyrene realize that other Aeons can also gaze at Amphorius, hoping that there would be another outcome. Finon then decapitated Lygus, and they both decided to look time in order to prevent the emergence of the Lord Ravager called Iron Tomb. Cyrene had to quote-unquote die for this to happen, and Finon, now under another name, Kazlana, which is his birth name, will host the core flames to stop Aeronova. In the first cycle, Kazlana had a schizo moment with his ideal heroic image and decided to embrace destruction to rebel against Iron Tomb and Nanook. That's ironic, isn't it? Afterwards, he reset the cycle to the beginning, involving the first Chrysos heirs, meeting Hysilence, Aglaya, Tribi, and eventually Ceridra herself. Off screen, bruh, and telling them the truth about the Aeronova. He collected the core flames, hoping that things would turn out different, but it eventually led to the same outcome due to the Black Tide. Kazlana then repeated the cycles to the 133rd time, trying to settle with the Crisis heirs peacefully at first, but started to gradually lose his mind. From the 134th cycle, he then attempted to collect the core flames forcefully, facing resistance from his fellow companions, especially Anaxa, Cypher, My Day, Castoris, and Hyacinth. At the 4,000,001st cycle, Kazlana realized that salvation could only come from an external source. His body is also weary from hosting 48 million core flames, so he decided to pass on his mission to the next Finon. This leads us back to the current events, where Finon and Stella were about to initiate Aeronova, and the Flame River appeared to stop it. Turns out Kazlana was the Flame River all this time, and he shared his memories to Finon before dying. The current Finon accepts his past self's burden during his schizo moment where Stella was dragged in as well. He decided that the Trailblazer will become the new deliverer, since she is the external factor that will break this endless cycle. In addition to embodying the heroic qualities Finon envisioned ever since his childhood days, supported by his inner self. The new Kazlana proceeded to end the 33,550,336 cycle by dissing Lygus and having a face-off against Nanook himself, but was utterly defeated by a simulation of Zephyro, one of Nanook's emanator, though he did manage to scratch Nanook slightly before eventually fading away. Basically, giving the middle finger to a literal god before he died. What a fucking chat move. Back to Stella's POV, Mem got her full memories back and was Cyrene all along. Whoa. The Cyrene of this cycle will become a memory and a part of the Trailblazer, but only after sending us to the next cycle where we meet a new Cyrene there. After that, we proceeded to have a date with her. Well, that de-escalated quickly, and boy are we cucking fine on with this one. Cyrene made a scarecrow of us, which is definitely an important plot point in the story here, and the Trailblaze quest ends. By the way, this recap is more of the now, like the occurrences of current events, but the lore that was dropped in this patch goes far beyond what I've said. The setting is similar to Sword Art Online Alicization, if you watch that, where scientists ran experiments on a simulated world filled with AI that are supposed to act like humans. Only that the scientists here are Lycus and Ayrton. They're basically trying to prove that destruction is the only outcome through their experiments. And funnily enough, Ayrton looks like an ethereal from Zelda Zone Zero. The AI here in the SAO reference is basically everyone in Amphorius. Now, what you should know is this. Ayrton is a Lord Ravager who was a Scepter, and a Scepter is a giant planet-sized supercomputer that are mini versions of News. It's supposed to find the answer to a theory called the Prime Mover of Life, which is always 42, come on.
42.
But News abandoned it, yet it still ran experiments, and at one point Nanook gazed upon it instead. And now this Scepter's answer to the theory is destruction, shifting from erudition. It basically continued to run experiments to feed data to it, like an AI if you will, until the last experiment before its emergence, at which the Kazlana cycle happened. So imagine your computer wanted to update to Windows 11 for example, which you don't want by the way. And two programs kept on resetting the PC to its default Windows 10 settings in order to prevent it. That's how it is. And if you want a deep lore explanation, you can read the wiki or the notes in-game here, or you can just watch the lore YouTubers I'm showing on screen. Since I'm not a lore channel myself, that doesn't mean I'm not interested in it though. Star Rail's lore is fucking heavy. It's intriguing, but the stories that come from it may not immediately be good. Even this patch's Trailblaze quest still has flaws that could have been handled better. So let's talk about them first.
There's always room to grow.
There were 4 drawbacks that I could think of actually. Half are technical and the other half involve the writing itself. Let's start with the former. Firstly, Ika's name is misspelled here. After that, Finance model during the memory in Aedis Elysiae. The CG background here shows he's wearing simple civilian clothing by the looks of it. And even in this CG here. But his model in the overworld shows that he's wearing the usual armor. It's the same scenario in 3.1's story if you remember Triby's background when she was Tribios. They used Triby's model in the overworld to represent Tribios, who was clearly adult looking. I guess I could pardon them for being lazy because they would have to create a new model in-game for Tribios, but in Finon's case, no! Just use his damn character model you already have and slap another outfit. You guys did that for March 7th and now we have that as a skin, which nobody uses by the way because you limited it to fucking preservation and we got this downgrade of an outfit instead. Okay, for the story itself, firstly, the scene where Lygus yapped too much to Finon and Cyrene. He gave too much information to the pair, and looking back on it, it just feels like a dumb move. You know what I thought of when reading this scene? The moment where Lelouch told Euphemia to unalive all the Japanese people in Code Geass. The execution is not similar of course, but both are just bad plot triggers. Like in Code Geass, Lelouch could have said anything else other than what he said, but no, he couldn't, because otherwise we won't have a continuation of the story. This is the same in 3.4's case. If Lycus had just kept his mouth shut, then Finon and Cyrene wouldn't have figured it out and repeated the cycles. I couldn't understand why Lycus did what he did here. For someone who used to be an erudition frustrator, he's not that bright. I guess that's why he changed over to destruction. I'm not saying that villains shouldn't monologue. In fact, I think they're usually good.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
But this one was just dumb. Don't get me wrong though, I thoroughly enjoyed the writing that happened afterwards, both in HSR and Code Geass. And Code Geass is my personal favorite anime. But this trigger was just not it. Lastly, the scene involving the nymph pushing up the stone ball. Now, the symbolism here was executed nicely, and I don't have any issues with the scene itself, but the timing of the scene should have been at a later cycle. This nymph scene occurred during the first cycle and it was too early. Like the whole metaphor was to show the efforts to do something were futile, no matter how many times you do it or how many ways you do it differently. The outcome would still be the same. The stone ball will roll down the slope eventually. You climb, you fall, you repeat. So having this in the first cycle feels less impactful. I would suggest that this moment be moved to the 133rd cycle, just before the scene where he decided to take the core flames forcefully during Anaxa's, Cypher's, and Zagreus' screen times. As I see it, I think this alteration would have been a good trigger to why he decided to just strong-arm the other Chrysos heirs. Those were all the flaws I could think of, and before I end this section, I would like to talk about a more neutral point, and it could either be a boon or a bane depending on your preference, which is the moments where you are actually playing the game. What I mean by this is that most of 3.4's story is just reading and reading. I don't personally mind this since I'm used to visual novels, but not everyone will be, and understandably so, because Star Rail is not a visual novel. The times where you are actually in control of your character, whether it be Stella or Finon, are relatively rare, and the fights are even less so. However, the ones you do get are quite impactful. Not anywhere near as hype as the last patch's boss fight, no, but rather in their emotional weight. And that's why we're getting into the good parts now.
It's good stuff. Real good stuff.
So, when a part of a game is lacking, whatever moments that part offers should be good, right? To compensate in quality for insufficient quantity? Well, thankfully, this is true for the gameplay part in this patch's story. You don't fight any overworld mobs at all, mainly because Finon is disintegrating them all with his OP technique that power creeps Acheron. So the only battles you have are the boss fights, namely Kazlana as Flame Reaver, Maide as Nicodor, Castoris as Pollux, and Hyacinth as Aquila. An honorable mention to Zagreus here as well, of course. The fights themselves were underwhelming, but the emotional weight balanced it out, like the dialogue, the role of the characters, and the stakes behind them. Plus, the art direction here showing Finon's other experiences fighting Zalais is very nice. Castoris stood up to him because she doesn't want her friend to experience a fate worse than death. Hyacinth resisted because she doesn't want Kazlana to lose his individual self even further. And Maide fought, well, because f*** you. All of them are his fellow companions whom he cherished, and he had to unalive them again and again for the sake of the eternal recurrence. Imagine having to do what he did to your close friends or even family for over 33 million times. Freaking hell. Going insane is a massive understatement here. The story section during the fights don't help either. And to add insult to injury, it hurts that much more when you listen to Hyacinth during her battle. Her screaming in pain is just... Maide and Castoris can handle it because they're more on the warrior side of the Chrysos heirs. But Hyacinth is just a healer, and to see her endure what she experienced through in the previous patch and in this one, it's just heartbreaking. These battles really make you not want to do them, and the same applies to the Flame Reaver fight actually. Of course not at first, since this particular fight occurred before Kazlana's memories of the cycles, but when you look back at it afterwards, you just feel sorry for him. It's like Subaru's experiences in ReZero, but crank it up to 11, or rather above 33 million in this case. And this leads to the next point. Kazlana is simply one of the best written characters in Star Rail stories. What I said about Best Girl Cypher in 3.3's review, it aged like milk already. Damn it! Kazlana is now the most selfless out of the Chrysos heirs. Seeing his character development from an innocent kid living a simple life in a small village to doing what's necessary in order to save the freaking universe, even if he had to walk through the depths of hell to do it, is quite the experience. I still won't pull for the guy, but yeah, I'll give him this. He's one of the best characters in Star Rail, and I believe he would remain among the top for a long while. This is of course added by the contributions of his voice acting and the facial expressions. Kudos to the people who put in the effort to both. The growth of the character, turning from a lively young adult to an emotionless, lifeless being near the end, to a raging maniac in the finale, is wonderfully executed. My man got gazed upon by Nanook for like 4 minutes straight, all the while saying "f*** you" to them. And I personally think that Nanook was impressed by Kazlana for that, based on my interpretation of the eye furrow here. If so, it's really ironic because they win in the end, since Kazlana embraced destruction, even though it's directed towards the Aeon of Destruction themselves. Fight fire with fire, as they say.
Fighting fire with fire.
Oh, and for his voice acting, my personal favorite is this scene. This moment is the beginning of his tragedy, since he had to unalive the people of Aedes Elysiae. Even the children weren't spared. Finon specifically mentioned Livia, who was the young girl here. The voice acting of both Finon and Livia in this scene scarred me.
まさか僕に話しかけているのか。
Phenomenal efforts in creating a powerful yet painful moment to be experienced. Next, the animated facial expressions and poses have considerably improved as shown by Finon and Cyrene. Oh god, Cyrene is such an adorable cinnamon roll, both in body language and voice acting. And the fact that she says like I couldn't help it. I just melt whenever a female character says this expression. It's why Kafka is the best character in the game. Straight up facts, you can never deny it. Anyway, yeah, they've improved, but it doesn't mean that they're there yet. Seeing that Hoyo is doing a decent job at listening to feedback, given that they added the skip button, I would suggest doing eye movements now. You see, Star Wars characters usually turn their heads only to face someone they're talking to. That way, the devs don't need to animate the eyes. But in my honest opinion, eye animation makes them more alive. Hell, you can even tell what a character is thinking about based on eye movement. No need dialogue, not even grunts or sighs. Just simple movement of the eyes can really say a lot. So, for the sake of improving the game even further, please add eye animations. They won't listen to me, of course, since I only have 38 subscribers. But if you can get enough to voice out, then they possibly might. For now though, good work on the improvements. Lastly, the Aedes Elysiae map. After you finish the story, you get thrown into the new map in the new cycle. And it's just so soothing in general. The size, the atmosphere, even the music. And that's not all. There are two things I want to point out in relation to this map. The first is the date scenes with Cyrene. I exaggerated there, but I want you to get my point, which is that they're really wholesome. Like, after reading through 4 to 5 hours of some really dark shit, it's relieving to get some light-hearted moments in the end. Light at the end of the tunnel, I'd say. I'm willing to bet the devs knew this, especially Xiaoji. Dude gave us depression and soothed us a bit afterwards. You and thank you. Now, I also want to point out that these scenes with Cyrene are not part of the Trailblaze quest, meaning that there's some kind of an after story you find out exploring the overworld. This is good, because otherwise, we'd have pacing issues. Imagine a climax so peak and badass involving one character, and then another couple being lovey-dovey soon afterwards. Hey, if you are so adamant on cucking Finon by stealing Cyrene away, at least have the decency to not do it immediately after his death. Now, the second thing involving the new map are the NPCs. It's relieving to see them alive again and well here, because they definitely didn't deserve the fate that they were given. Especially Livia, and hell, we even have Finon's parents. The part that stood out though, is this f***ing feature which lets you relive the dialogue between Finon and the targeted NPC. Seriously, Xiaoji, piss off, man! You already had me feel a ton for Finon, and you just had to pour more salt on the wound. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm going to say now that Aedes Elysiae is the best map in the game to date, and it's my personal favorite from now on. I don't care how small it is, just being there is like therapy, and I believe you guys would too. Alright, that's all for the Trailblaze quest. Now I would like to share my opinions on the patch itself.
Took you long enough.
I think the overall patch so far is one that is better than average as of recording. The good parts far outweigh the bad ones, so let's first start with the drawbacks, which is just one, and that is the fancy banner animation that happens when you first log into the patch. Seriously, off for you. Stop trying to manipulate people even further to pull. Same shit happened in Castoris' banner and Yishuan's banner in Zenless Zone Zero. Now, disclaimer, I did pull for those two, But not because of the banner animations. I have Castor's at E0 S1 because she's quite the cinnamon roll, and Yixuan at M2 plus Wenjin due to those tits. You might say I'm criticizing now since I don't pull for dudes, but if you watch my 3.4's video, you'd know that I'm condemning this banner animation just the same even with simping for Yixuan. Plus, not wanting to pull for Finon doesn't mean I hate or dislike him. Hell, I've been praising his character throughout this whole video. Anyway, the good stuff. First and foremost, the fucking skip button. Now, some people would argue against this, thinking that it's a bad thing, claiming that they're story enjoyers. Well, I'm a story lover myself. I'm starting to review gacha stories in this channel and even have my own visual novel channel. And even visual novels that are literally just books have the skip button. So, despite whatever they may say, a skip button is good. It adds flexibility, and it doesn't force people who are not interested in reading to waste several hours of their time, like I said in my Fate collab video. The event was fine to me. I don't particularly enjoy this Candy Crush style of a minigame, but the story was fairly enjoyable. It was short and simple, but that doesn't make it a good enough of a read. I'm just happy they brought in all the characters like Qingque, Rappa, and even Boothill with his scuffed swearing. This is good. Give all the characters that we love some screen time to keep them relevant in the game's overall lore, even if they're not meta units. Now do the same with the characters from Bellabog and Stellaron Hunters, please. I want my fucking Kafka, damn it. Speaking of Kafka, thank you for the buffs. HSR devs finally remembered dots were a thing in the game. For now at least. High Silence will bring back dots into the meta, trust. And DOT is the most based team lineup as of this moment. Why? Because of mummies, of course. Kafka, Black Swan, Ranmei, and High Silence. This is the best team ever, objectively speaking. If a sustain is needed, we shall wait for a mummy preservation or abundance character that deals with dots. If that doesn't come, just take Lingsha. It's not follow-up team, not super break, not even HP based. It's damage over time that is the best. Now, half jokes aside, it seems that these buffs have a considerable flaw to them, and that involves the signature light cones. At least from Kafka's side, Patience is all you need LC is not her best in slot anymore, which is weird since a character's signature is supposed to be their best LC. With response to this, I hope that the devs make changes to the light cones in addition to the character buffs. Now, let's talk about the more neutral parts. Firstly, Firefly skin. I'm not a fan of it since I said this. Personally speaking, I believe that a skin should reveal more skin, not cover them up. Therefore, I think that her skin is just mid. But it actually suits her character. And this is coming from a Gunnar player. Firefly wishes to live like a normal girl, and this paid skin practically gives her that. A high school girl outfit? That'd be a meaningful gift to her. Plus, people have pointed out that her signs of the entrepreneur loss syndrome are gone with the new skin, which is even more of a blessing. If you like the skin and are able to do the purchase, be my guest. All power to you. As for me, I don't like it, as I've said. You might say I don't like Firefly. I have her at E2, so yeah. Lastly, this free Archer LC thing. It's kind of a controversial topic, and my thoughts on it is, yeah, it preys on your FOMO even further. There are of course good and bad things about this. People who saved and or are pulling a lot in this patch will definitely get a free LC. As for others, you feel like you're forced to pull. Take note though, keyword here is feel. You're not actually forced to pull 200, not like you're forced to look at the damn banner animation. Don't pull if you don't want to in the first place, because I don't think you'll lose anything by not pulling. It's like Steam seasonal sales. They're FOMO as well. Not exactly similar, but the concept is close. Thing is, however, Steam's seasonal sales come every season, obviously, whereas this LC over is highly likely a one-time thing. So my criticism for it is that the offer should have been longer. Maybe stretch it to patch 3.6 or 3.5 at least. Either that or you lower down from the 200 pulls requirement. As for me, I put for Cypher's E0 S1 because she definitely deserves it. So I'm drained. But I was prepared for it since I didn't give a damn about the banners in this patch. And I still don't. High Silence is my main priority now, and then I'll divert some focus to Saber if possible. As for the Fate collab event, I can't give my thoughts on it for now since I haven't played it yet as of recording. Who knows, maybe I'll make another video about it in the future. Anyway, let's conclude.
Mother of God!
Would you look at the time?
Oh no, great story this patch. My score for it would be a 9. Kazana carried like crazy, just like he carried the weight of Amphorius itself. Might as well just slap Kazana's face onto Kefala here and it'd be accurate. What's funny to me is that despite their efforts in trying to prevent Iron Tomb's emergence, all those cycles actually made a better vessel for destruction out of him. I guess all those experiments were correct in the end. Destruction is inevitable.
It is inevitable.
Huh, now that I think about it, Lygus yapping too much proved to be more beneficial to Nanook in the end, so task failed successfully? Anyway, on a side note, I wanted to recommend this patch's Trailblaze quest to even people that skip the stories, but then I realized you need the build up from previous patches. It's a slow burn throughout, and it's still slow in this patch alone. To me, it seems that 3.4 is peak right now, and I genuinely do wonder how they're gonna top this up, or at least be on par with it. I doubt it actually, because following Fright Experiment, it's gonna cool down at some point. I just hope the quality remains, but I don't expect it. Happy to be proven wrong. I dare you, Hoyo. So yeah, that's all for me. Hope you guys can like and subscribe. Later, addicts. So if we're being lovey-dovey with Cyrene now, does that mean Firefly is gonna kill us? Oh shit.